Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting race for all the drivers, especially with the layout, because lots of twisty turns, lots of chicanes dotted around all the track, even like two hairpins roughly. So, lots to expect from these drivers. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, track limits is actually going to be a very big factor. Lots of unforgiving corners. And also, just want to throw out this is Schlein's home race in the Williams, so maybe we'll see something from him to maybe get a podium. So I'm hoping for something there. Also, technically, it's my home race, so so lots of things going to be here left and right. So let's head in and take a look at what the track looks like. So starting off in sector one, 90-degree left turn, turn one, and a straight hairpin into turn two, followed by a nice little chicane and a slight right into another chicane down to sector two, crossing the first DRS detection zone and the first straight of the GP, going into another chicane after that DRS ends, straight up into another DRS detection zone, and taking a nice little short straight there into a nice right hand hairpin with a slight left into a long, long DRS before finally cutting into the final chicane, going into another and the third and final DRS point into the finish line. So lots of moments for these drivers to probably get penalties and have some good overtakes. What are you looking at, Ayrtonia, from this layout? Yeah, especially coming out of a DRS zone straight into another one. And ending off with a speed trap, which we won't be seeing a lot of in this race because it's only really displayed in practice. So, looking at our drivers right now, and one thing, speaking of drivers, Ducky coming from Formula 12, which I race in myself and was my teammate, he's pushed up to Ferrari now. So definitely going to be interesting to see how the sudden change from Formula 12 into Formula 2 into Formula 1 will go, since both cars have very different traction. Uh, I don't know what I tried to say there, but lots of different traction points and definitely change of speed there. So lots to see from the quote unquote rookie. And we are roughly 5 minutes away from quali if we don't include our grace period. So as of now, no, it is working. I can hear you great. Let me check real quick. You can't? Hold on, I'm listening over. Give me a second. Yeah, no, it's not. Oh god. Okay, my bad to everyone watching the stream. I'm gonna fix this real quick. Ba, 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 ba. This is perfect. Okay. That was. Oh my god. I apologize profusely. Do you want to redo it? It's not going on the stream. What's going on? Okay, hold on. Technical difficulties while we're just chilling. Um, It is showing on OBS. I'm not too sure why it wouldn't do that. Why I wouldn't want to exist here. So I apologize to everyone. I'll just give you guys a look at the track for a bit. Alright. I'll give you guys a quick look at the track while we try and figure this out. So give us a hot minute. Okay, I think we fixed the issue. Give us a couple seconds to see it. Do you want to just redo that intro while we're waiting for while we're waiting for the drivers to get ready? If the audio works. Okay, I think we fixed the issue. Give us a couple seconds to see it. Do you want to awkward silence. Redo that intro while we're waiting for the drivers to get ready? Hold on, try talking. If the audio works. Antonio. God, sorry for the technical difficulties. Senor Antonio. Okay. I'm just trying to see if the OBS is actually capturing your audio. I'm checking over the stream. Hold on. It's not. What the hell? You heard me over my end. That's... Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna quickly... Okay, remove... Yes, I'm gonna remove that. What if I do... This? Capture with audio. Discord. Yes. I'm gonna move that over. Try talking again. Yes, talk, please. Okay. Hopefully. God damn it. Okay. It's not working. What I'm gonna do actually is just like capture the audio of my entire like of the yeah. Hold on. Display capture. Okay. No, that's different. God, I thought this worked. It worked before. Not too sure why it didn't work now. Audio output capture. Yes. If I capture this. Okay. Try talking now. Like, give like a couple sentences here. You're the race principal. This is so icky. God, okay. Do you want to just, like, use... Since we're just spectating, do you want to maybe join up on I don't know why. Okay. If you want, I guess I can just solo commentate or something. I'm not too sure why. Is it a you issue? Yeah, that's the one that I'm using. I can change it. If I use default, then that's the default here. I mean, OBS is showing that it's capturing. I'm not too sure why. I'm just gonna just put it like that. Yep, now Alpine's, yeah. I mean, OBS is showing that it's capturing. I'm not too sure why. I'm just gonna just put it like that. Yep, now Alpine's, yeah. Yeah, good point. Try that. Try that. Okay, give it a hot second. Okay. Just keep talking. Keep talking. Keep talking. Yeah, good point. Try that. Try that. Okay, give it a hot second. Nope. I guess I'll just... Because it worked with Luz. I'm not too sure why. Like, Luz was fine when I didn't do anything different. Everything's the same. I was gonna say, let's take... okay, he's gone. Just maybe... Let's do this. And then... we're going to check something out. Alright, well, we have about 3 minutes before the quality starts, and I know you guys can't see my icon, but if it does come to it, I'll see what I can do with solo commentating. So, but yeah, it is really unfortunate for that to happen, but it's been working when we were testing this, so we'll try and see what'll happen if not. But other than that, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Okay, there we go. You guys can see me again. Hello. Okay. Now, will it work? Hopefully. Turning on my audio again. Okay, there we go. You guys can see me again. Hello. Okay. Nope. Okay. Great. I'm just gonna restart Discord at this point because clearly it's not wanting to do anything. So, the struggles of streaming. Discord. Going task manager. Yeah, ignore that. That's normal. Also, sorry for my nose making those noises. So, because I'm quite sick. I don't know what happened, but yeah. Okay. Cursor. Client area, no. Okay. We should be good. Let me just refresh both of these. And obviously it has to bug just now, so let me quickly do this. And then switch over to the booth. Okay. Everything's working. Should be. And we are getting ready to go green in quali. So, yes. Alright, so, actually give me one hot second. I'll be right back, but quali is going to be underway in a couple minutes. So, without further ado, let's get going with the drivers. All right. Let's go. So, here is our track. We only have 12 drivers on the grid right now for the quali session. So we'll see how that works. And everyone seems to be taking their time. The weather is a slight overcast, as everyone... You made it work? What happened? Everyone is in the pits trying to get their setups done, so we'll wait for them to pull out of their garages, see who's the first one out. Still doesn't work. It's fine. I can do this. You're good. Yeah, go to your team. Get them, engineer them. Because clearly your voice isn't going through, so. And all the drivers seem to be pulling out of their garages now, so. Oh, my bad on that. The first one out seems to be Flying Cow in the Williams. So, with an overcast, it is going to be slightly, ever so slightly slippery. And these drivers should know better than to overcut. As we'll see, we'll go ahead and watch Flying Cow set the first lap time of the entire GP. As drivers are now starting to pull out of the pits, all except for Narpy, the lone McLaren, Bailey, Curly, never mind, Narpy's out. Bailey, Curly, Fierce, and Boogie are all sitting in their pit boxes as people are coming out. That's on me. Alright, here comes Flying Cow down the last chicane and starting the first ever lap of the Canadian GP. First lap to set a quali time. Now, it does look like Bogey, one of the kicks are pulling out, but it looks like Curly is definitely going to be staying in the pits, waiting for the track to warm up. And, you know, getting his tire, getting the track warm enough, waiting for the track to get warm enough so that his tires could have better grip. And it looks like Ducky has came back in the pits. I don't know what happened there, but definitely something he did not like. Coming down into the last hairpin, into the final straight. Flying Cow is mere moments away from setting the first lap time of the Canadian GP in this overcast right here. Entering the final chicane. Oh, and disqualified! Runs off track limits on the last corner. How unfortunate. It would have been a 1:11. That's so unfortunate. So now that responsibility is laid onto, I believe, laid to rest, which also they did not manage to do it. Everyone has gotten some form of track limits at some point in the race, so no one has set a time just yet. Adele also has It's also set track limits, unfortunately. And Schlein is the first one to set a time of a 110.6. Narpi coming in with a 110.632. How unfortunate that the first 5 drivers, I believe, to set a lap time have all... And Bailey comes back with a 110.459. So, all of these drivers definitely choosing some very interesting strategies. A caution has happened. That was late to rest, bumping into the wall, I do believe. So, not a lot of debris. No, and they left the session. That's interesting. So we'll be watching Fierce setting his lap time, and that'll be it. That'll take P1 with a 110.071. So things are getting interesting already. There's a huge gap between Fierce and Adilso. I think I should be saying Faye, so I'll be saying that. As Schlein heads into the pits, Flying Cow seems to be the last one who is on their quali laps and has not set a time just yet. So coming down into the final hairpin, Fierce definitely seeming to be very dominant here on Montreal. Ducky retiring, and Ducky leaving from the session as well. Oh, that's unfortunate right there. Well, seeing my former teammate retiring like that is unfortunately. Terrest is back. Flying Cow will take P7 with a 111.673. I'm gonna get clipped for that, probably, as all the drivers are coming around again. C Boogie, I see, has once again failed to... Nope, C Boogie hasn't been. Ducky is back, but has retired, so he will not be setting a lap time for quali, unfortunately. C Boogie now coming down the final straight, trailing Narpi down this straight to the chicane. Narpi beating his previous time by 3/10. C Boogie with the first sub 10 of the entire quali session. Both Saubers, the tractors, I mean, equal performance is on in this race, but both the tractors getting a 1-2 in quali. Will they be able to hold it? We'll definitely find out from there. Flying Cow coming around the last chicane. Oh, no, going into the pits, which is interesting to see. Curly just passing the line to start his quali laps. We'll see how that goes for him. And already going off track limits, this is definitely going to be a very fun race to watch, as Schlein is coming around to start some more laps and hopefully get his P1 back from Saubers. And BNA also starting his first ever lap for this GP. So the only ones that haven't set times are BNA, Curly, and Laid to Rest, who are all definitely need big shoes to fill. Ducky will not be able to set a time as he did retire, unfortunately, so he will be placed at the bottom of the grid, but knowing his F12 performance, he definitely will be having a very, very good comeback there, as Curly is crossing the line for his first lap. Never mind, I forgot he crossed track limits there. As I don't believe Fierce managed to set a better time. Late to Rest, unfortunately not, and Curly going off track limits again. Fierce not being able to set his better time than he did last time. BNA coming around to the Line, unfortunate for him, went out of track limits as well. This track is just cursing everyone here, which is really, really unfortunate. So, yes, the main people to look out for, definitely C Boogie, having a 3.3 of a gap to his teammate in P1. Definitely going to be able to have a good 1-2. Oh! And BNA spins, breaking off his wheel. How unfortunate for him. He's definitely going to have to abandon this lap and go back to the pits. Now, and up, okay. As soon as I speak, BNA decides to crash it into the wall, joining Ducky at the bottom of the grid. So, now, Late to Rest and Curly are the last two drivers who need to set times for this race to be going well. And the commentator's curse, he spins as soon as I say something. I'd like to apologize profusely for that. But let's go ahead, in the meantime, take a look at some other drivers who are in the midfield and are trying to get their times up in this spot. So this, I do believe, is the first ever time we've had a full quali session, not just one-shot quali. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out with tire wear and all that. Both Saubers in the pits, definitely feeling confident with their position. Both drivers, as I realize, have a good solid gap, as I do believe someone slowed down enough, and that would be Adele slowing down for some reason. Don't know why. Narby crossing the line, not managing to improve his time, but doing it cleanly. Sorry for abandoning you guys for a second, but Faye managing to, while I wasn't looking, Faye getting a 110.09, getting quite close to Fierce. So it's going to be interesting to see if Faye will be able to make not make a comeback, but take away P2 from Fierce and separate the two kicks, the two Saubers from each other. Coming around the final hairpin, already not looking good with a 10 seconds slower than his final time, their final time. And moving over for, I do believe, Adele, yes, who is looking to be on a nice hot lap here. Not getting any penalties, but will not be able to get a new time. Curly is definitely one of the last people here to get a good time. Does go over the barrier, but does manage to finally set his lap time, a 110.866. So now it is all late in the hands of Late to Rest to get their the final driver to get a time to be placed onto the starting grid with 4.5 minutes left. The grid seems to be pretty shaken up. One definite point of interest here: Schlein and Flying Cow, both the Williams, and a very, very close gap to each other. So definitely going to be a good battle for position from them. Narby and Adele, also two drivers who are very close, but the gap from P3 to P4 is also very big. So not many drivers with not. It's not going to affect placement much, but if Narpi or Adele are able to shave off 3/10, it'll definitely be an interesting battle for P3 at the start of the race. And Adele crossing the line, not managing to give himself a better time here. Speaking of which, also partially crashing at the start and near turn 2. Watching late to rest cross this final chicane. The time is looking good, not looking good, but it'll be a solid lap, placing him in 10th. Ouch. Roughly 5 seconds behind P9, but holding off between Ducky and VNA is going to be very hard for them. So Adele were really the only one actually setting qualifying time right now. Well, not really, because they are now. They were not able to stay inside of track limits. Now, with 2.5 minutes remaining, I do believe that was late to rest who crashed there. It was, as they reset to track. And Spin again, breaking their front wing. They're going to have to definitely pit that. And hopefully, not hopefully, and they have retired, unfortunately. This is definitely going to be one of the most interesting races in terms of penalties. So, as Narpi crosses by late to rest, we are now watching Faye try to take P2 away, sorry, but doesn't look like it's going to be happening with that 1 second gap. Not 1 second gap, but oh, and both the Saubers coming out for the outlap. They're going to have to be spreading out a lot for this to be going well. Adele also retiring. Both the Alpines have retired from the session. So this is going to be, yeah, as I said prior, this is going to be a very interesting race for all of these drivers. As Flying Cow passes Adele, going by, I do believe, Bailey, and cross track limits there. Of course, that was Faye. That's not me, my bad. Not managing to get anything good out of that. Flying Cow, I do believe. Nope, it will be Schlein starting their outlap. My bad for changing the camera so often. As the Saubers are now well spread out. There are 30 seconds left in the quali session as of now. All the drivers are out on their outlap, both Bailey and Curly. Bailey probably more far behind and won't be able to start their lap. Curly going to be starting their brand new lap here, hopefully getting out of the P9 spot. So, watching, I do believe Bailey crossed the line. That'll be our, no, that was a, Faye taking P2 away from Fierce on the first lap. Flying Cow going into the pits. Schlein looks to be good, finishing in 4th place. Fierce taking P1 away from his teammate. C-Boogie falling just slightly behind. Fierce with a 109.660. What a lap. Curly. And I do believe Narpi, no, it'll be Bailey, the last one to cross the line. But Curly, 3rd last to cross the line. how his time falls under the standings. It's not going to be good, and finishes in P9. Narpi takes fourth away from Schlein. And now Bailey coming down the straight, not with a good time, and just pushing it left and right. We'll see. And this is how your grid falls. Fierce in first, as well as C-Boogie in second, Faye in third, Narpi in fourth, Schlein in fifth, Adele in sixth, Bailey in seventh. So, watching how this track went off with how each driver is going out of track limits, it's definitely going to be a very interesting race to see how each of these drivers play out. Ducky and BNA both starting from the back of the grid, not being able to set a good time. And as I said, Schlein getting a good position for his home race. So even though he's 5/10 behind Fierce, he is looking good behind Adele and about 1/10 behind Narpi. So as we get back into, as we start our race here, things are definitely going to be getting interesting right here. So all the drivers are lined up. Formation lap will be underway shortly. And with that, let's take one last look at the track to see what they'll be dealing with. What's the major points of issues here? Definitely one thing is the first chicane into Sector 1. Definitely a big standing point right there. And with that, not a lot. There's definitely going to be a lot of contention there for where the drivers are going to be falling down to get their positions nice and settled. And with all this, another definite big point of turning point is the start of Sector 2 and the end of Sector 2 in that DRS range. So not much they could be planning to do. But as we get back to the broadcast, we're going to be seeing Fierce leading the pack here into Sector 2. And all the drivers nice and spread out. I see Faye warming up their tires. Airtonio joining in and getting into 13th here. So last second join into 13th place. We'll see the commentator who is here a couple seconds ago, not a couple seconds, a couple minutes ago, taking a look at how each of the things. As you can see, there's some possible race strategies here, which I do believe some of these drivers will be going for. And starting off, everyone seems to be going on hards except for Fierce, Adil, and Curly, which is going to be definitely a big point of contention as the drivers are coming to the grid lane, warming up their tires. This is going to be interesting to start right here. Fierce lining up slightly diagonally, which is a very interesting decision here, as the back of the grid is also finally lining up. Laid to rest, not really getting a good stop right there. We'll see how the front of the grid will deal with this. So, without further ado, it is 5 lights for the Canadian GP. And Curly and Flying Cow both get a drive-through penalties. It's lights out, and away we go here at the Canadian GP. Narpy already in good start. Fierce getting some good ground up on his teammate. C-Boogie pushing the drivers away. Flying Cow falling 3 spots as well as Adele. Curly getting 4 spots. Even with that jump, he's going to have to serve that penalty at some point. Fierce already having a solid 1.8 second gap to the grid. And Sector 1 is already delivering. I do believe someone might have taken a collision there, but Fierce already taking a 1 second gap. C-Boogie defending his teammate very, very nicely here. And the grid does seem pretty spread out. The only main battle I would be saying is between Adele and Bailey, as we see a nice look at the hairpin. Faye definitely will be needing to get some good ground on C-Boogie, as Fierce somewhat did cut that corner, but I don't think he'll be a good contention. Curly already going to serve his drive-through penalty, which, interesting decision at that. Flying Cow, not really. Curly, actually, yes. Curly, Flying Cow, Airtonio with a DNF. I'm not too sure what happened there, but that's already a good point of contention. P1 through 4, already quite clumped together, as Flying Cow is in the pits. Oh, I think just now exiting. Ducky already 2 seconds behind Late to Rest, preying upon that P9 spot right over here. But going off the corner, but does have more speed here. Into the hairpin. Going down the inside, pushing Blade wide. Not much he could have done there, but as the grid, as Blade does get some gap to Ducky as he locks up. Oh, Ducky with the lunge down the inside, taking P9 away and with a good gap. Bailey getting a 3-second warning for corner cutting. What a move from Ducky right there. Already getting a second gap to Late to Rest. Which, wow, what a move. Now, 1 through 4, P1 through 4 is very condensed, but so is 5 through 7. Well, Bailey having that 3-second gap, 3-second penalty. DNA is definitely going to be able to capitalize on that if he's able to keep that gap. Curly also preying on Late to Rest, who now has a 4-second gap to Ducky. And Curly manages to have a good battle with Late, going side by side into the hairpin. Still side by side, and Curly manages to pull through. Which, as you've seen, is very interesting. Ducky getting even more corner cuts with a 3-second warning. C-Boogie now taking P1 away from his teammate. Late to Rest, I do believe, is serving his penalty in the pits, but not much to look out for there. Now, the only real battles to look for is the battle for P1 and the battle for P5. Schlein is looking cool to get very close to Adele, and they seem to be gaining a lot. But in the meantime, all the top 4 seem to be doing well so far. Very condensed, as Lade has also gotten a 3-second penalty. The corner cutting is prevailing. So, Fierce. Flying Cow having a huge gap on track limits. Now having a 10-second penalty here. And at the back of the grid. So now all the drivers are spread out. We are here for 30 more laps. This is definitely going to be an interesting race here. Now, I will be going silent from time to time to let you guys enjoy the racing here. But as you can see, penalties are stacking up. Top of the grid is definitely being cautious to make sure to not get any penalties as I say so. Fierce and Narpy both slightly cutting the edge right there. Now, Schlein, I see, is preying on Adele. Coming into that hairpin, not going to gain much time there. As I said, this race is looking very interesting as Faye, 0.6 behind Fierce, as Flying Cow has now left the session. I do believe, due to their 10-second penalty, they just did not want to deal with that. So, with that said, I will be slightly leaving you guys here for a second, and I'll let you guys enjoy the race from a bird's eye, from the helicopter view right here. And hopefully things balance out, or, you know, shake out for the next bit of the race. I come back to lane 2 rest, unfortunately getting a DNF, currently also getting a 3-second penalty. I do believe they crashed, but as you can see, they are, lane 2 rest was stopped in sector 1. I do not know why they might have crashed, but as I said before, the grid is balancing out. Drivers definitely getting close to each other. Notably, Narpy is getting close to Adil, and BNA getting a 3-second penalty now. The entire bottom half of the grid has now gotten penalties, and the top half of the grid is perfectly fine. So that just shows the skill level between these drivers. The top 6 know the track, they know how to drive. They are able to stay within the track limits, and the bottom half, I would say more of the rookies, are not able to, you know, stay inside of those track limits and deal with what's going on. And Adele seems to have crashed, dropping all the way down to P9. I didn't see what happened there, but that is a big break for them as Ducky goes on the outside of BNA, pushing him wide, short, making him cut the corner. That was a very risky move from Ducky right there, as the battle for P7 is now very, very big. Narpy now getting a 3-second penalty, so penalties are now distributing very, very evenly. Narpy seems to be getting very close to Faye right here. Looks like he might try to overtake with the DRS on this straight. Going into the corner. Ooh, big corner cut right there, but not getting any penalties whatsoever. Adil coming on to his right, going into the hairpin. Adil will be having the inside here, and is looking into the mirror. Oh, there goes Narpy into the wall, breaking the front left of his wing. Unfortunately, the battle for P3 could not get any bigger. Narpy, though, having that 3-second penalty, he's definitely going to be fighting. But going into the pits, good decision from Narpy right there, as the gap between Ducky and BNA has happened again. BNA running really tight on the inside. Adele, a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. How unfortunate. Curly manages to pass both Narpi and Adele. Adele retiring from the session, not wanting to deal with this 10-second penalty. Oh my lord. This is insane. Now, the battle for P6 here is very strong, with the two, I believe, rookies side by side. The rest of the grid spread out very nicely. Ducky with the DRS, passing a BNA on the inside, giving him a nice little brake check there. Now, having a nice gap, solidifying that gap. 5/10 to BNA, making him brake a little early there, pushing nicely. And now Fierce and C Boogie have a very good lead towards the rest of the grid. 7 whole seconds towards Faye, and Faye now has decided to pit, so definitely interesting will be there. BNA, oh my lord, hitting the wall there very, very slightly. But BNA going on the outside, managing to pass Ducky. Ducky taking on the inside. And so far, staying solid. As we get to see some team pod action here from Ducky. It looks like Ducky will also be getting the DRS down this straight. Bumping BNA slightly onto the rear as he passes on the inside with DRS. Getting a nice gap to BNA. Oh, BNA cutting that corner ever so slightly. Schlein now has a 10-second gap to Fierce in P2. Oh my lord. Wow. I have no words. I'm speechless as I'm speaking. Wow. Anyways, Fierce also now deciding to pit on lap 11. I do believe, yes, going to the hard tires. Now dropping down quite a significant amount of places. Will be just short of BNA and Ducky, so he'll be able to make some use and joining the fight very, very close by. Fierce already making a move onto Faye. I don't believe that's Faye. I believe that's Flying Cow being lapped there, getting the blue flag. But Fierce very close to BNA, looking for that P5 spot, going on the inside. Also having the DRS along trailing Ducky. Now has a 4/10 gap on the inside! Fierce with that P4 spot, managing to overtake 2 rookie drivers in that corner. My voice is straining. I need to stop yelling. What a move by Fierce, who now has a 2-second gap to Bailey. Dropped from P2 to P6 after that pit, and now within 1 lap has already gained 2 more positions. And is taps the wall there slightly and is now gaining on Bailey, who was in P3. But C Boogie now has a 13-second gap to Schlein. So it's going to be very interesting to see here. Flying Cow now in the pits. And wow, that's all I can say. Now with Dill and BNA getting another 3-second penalty. Dill trying to catch up here to Narpi. And as I say that, they're battling. Fierce already striving for another position on the same corner, taking the outside of this corner. Bailey is spinning out. Oh my lord. In the grass. And he is left all alone. His teammate as well, also passing him. Oh my lord. What a spin there. But Fierce managing to reclaim his P3 spot. Definitely. That was insane. I did not think Fierce would ever be able to do that, but here he is showing dominance with no penalties whatsoever and gaining on Schlein as we speak. But now BNA is trying to catch up to Ducky as Bailey gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Oh. Wow. No, Bailey in the pits, now leaving, I do believe. As the grid has spread out once again. Fierce, once again, still gaining on Schlein through these corners as Narpi and Adil are fighting for P6, I do believe. Actually, P4 as a whole. As within a couple laps, Fierce already has a solid gap on Schlein. Cutting that down to 3 seconds. This battle for P4 is getting intense as BNA and Ducky are fighting deep. BNA taking the inside, cutting it slightly. Managing to take away P4 from Ducky, but Ducky on the inside. Fierce! Now Fierce getting a 3-second penalty. Oh my lord! As soon as he gets that comeback, he isn't able to do much with that. But then again, BNA has 9 seconds of penalties worth to his name. As this battle for P4 gets so close together, Fierce is just getting so close to Schlein, who, as with C-Boogie, as Ducky overtakes BNA. BNA tapping Narpi slightly on the side. BNA going into the wall. As Narpi takes that spot from BNA, his front right wing slightly damaged. As these penalties definitely are getting interesting here. Ducky as well as C-Boogie on 13-lap hards. Schlein as well by Boogie transferring to the mediums. I do believe Schlein will do so as well as Ducky. Now Fierce getting P1 back as C-Boogie is just exiting the pits ahead of Adil, so he will be keeping that P2 spot the way they started. As now the pit window has opened and all the drivers are transferring to their new set of tires, which I do believe are going to be mediums here. And Curly and C-Boogie also getting a 3-second penalty. It's not even... It is penalty haven out here. 2 people get penalties now. Ducky and someone else. I did not pay attention, but... Now, the closest battle here is between Ducky and Curly. I do believe Curly has the most amount of penalties, as I do believe all the drivers have done their pit window and are now coming back onto the track. Both Alpines, I just noticed, are DNF'd, so both of them are out of the session and will not be getting any points. So everyone here in this race, everyone here that's racing right now will be getting some form of points. Wow, with the grid spreading out now, Adil and Schlein are the only ones to be without penalties. So it is now up to them to be clean, and with the penalties right here, both Narpi and C-Boogie have 3-second penalties, which they are nowhere close to each other. And as you can see by the penalty distribution, the top of the grid has 3-second penalties, midfield 6-second, and then the bottom half is just filled with penalties. But Flying Cow got rid of his penalties, so all he needs to do is just get a high placement on the grid here, as C-Boogie is catching up to his teammate, which is definitely going to be an interesting battle to see. And Ducky looks to be on a hot lap, already 1 second shaved off his time. He got I do believe, a purple sector 2. C Boogie with a 112.497. I do believe Ducky might be able to get this, as I did see, I believe he had a purple sector 1 and a purple sector 2, but not into the wall. How unfortunate for Ducky, and he does not manage to, but he does shave off his personal time, but he does not manage to clear off the fastest time, as C Boogie is gaining on his teammate. The team battle here between Fierce and C Boogie is definitely going to be the most interesting portion of this race. As once again the grid has settled, Narpi is catching up to Adele, but our main focus, and Bailey gets another 3 second here. So our main focus is C Boogie, who already has less than a second gap to Fierce. And now hopefully they don't pull a McLaren, and they can both get a good position here, communicate with each other, or if they want, they can have their team battle. I don't mind. Narpi getting another 3 second penalty. Adil and Schlein, the only ones without penalties, once again. Schlein technically will be having P4 if they can hold that gap to Narpi, as BNA gets another 3 second time penalty for multiple corner cutting warnings, as C Boogie is now creeping up on his teammate. I do believe C Boogie will be trying to take P1 away from Fierce as they go side by side into the hairpin. C Boogie on the inside with the medium tires, but I do believe they are older. Now pushing away from Fierce as C Boogie gets the DRS down the straight. And he will be also getting the DRS down the main straight as well, as they do approach Flying Cow. Now, Adil, I do believe, had a... I do believe Adil had a slight pushback off Fierce, but then again, both these Saubers are quite quick. I do believe Flying Cow will be getting the blue flag sometime soon. As we now see, yep, Flying Cow getting that blue flag to move out of the way. Getting in between Fierce and C Boogie. Fierce going slightly off track to pass Flying Cow. Now getting a huge gap in between them. Oh boy, yep, this is definitely the most interesting race. Now, I don't believe those penalties will be affecting the two Saubers, as Adil has an 11-second gap to actually make this count. They need to get P2, they need a 3-second gap or less to Fierce to actually make this count, as no battles are prevailing, but Fierce is losing time, as we do get to see a rear wing view of the gap that is slowly increasing here. So I think that was a diffuser view. Not too sure, haven't seen that camera before, but that was interesting to say not the least. As I say it, Fierce is now gaining on C Boogie. And the only real battles here are for P1 and P4. But P4 is already secured because of the penalty that Narpi has, so Schlein doesn't have to do much battling, just has to play it safe. As well as BNA getting very close to Curly. Might be taking that P7 spot, but will have to get a 6-second gap to Curly to even hold P7. So things are getting dangerous for sure, as now Fierce is within 1 second of his teammate. once again. Two Saubers battling it out. Not much else going in with this race other than July trying to catch up to Narpi. And BNA actually very close to Curly now. I just saw on the timetable here. Kicks. Saubers holding a very good lead up ahead. Curly getting another 3-second penalty here. And now Adil gets their first penalty of the race. Oh, how unfortunate. But now Schlein is getting up to a second behind Narpi. So, coming out of the hairpin, I do believe Narpi has those hard tires on. So Schlein will be having the, I do believe, fresher tire advantage here, as all the drivers on the hards are approaching the limit here. But Schlein definitely making a big comeback here. Getting very, very close to Narpi, who already has 6 seconds of penalty here. See an onboard cam right here. Very close to getting the penalty, but they're driving clean. Narpi slightly locking up. Going on board with Schlein for the next bit, trying to see how they can beat out Narpi, as there is an issue in Sector 1. I do believe that was Bailey who crashed. It doesn't seem like we're going to have a safety car anytime soon, but with 13 laps to go, the drivers having a lot of stress put up onto them, as Schlein is losing time up from Narpi, of which is gaining time to Adil. So, Sector 2, I do believe that was Bailey again who was spun out. Something does seem to be happening between them, as Narpi is slowly gaining on Schlein here. The battle for P3 getting very, very dire, as all the penalties here are looking quite big. Fierce and C Boogie holding that gap to each other with a 17-second gap, but Narpi getting very, very close to Adil into the hairpin, going slightly on the outside, will hold back. Getting close to Adil, slightly slipping there, and as a consequence now losing time. But Schlein technically now has P3, since Adil has a 3-second gap, and Narpi has a 6-second gap. So now this battle for P3 is getting dire. Narpi trying to make his move, as Fierce, I do believe, spun. I don't know what happened there, but now he has a 17-second gap to his teammate, and Adil has, and Faye, I do believe, has a 2.5-second gap to Fierce. So now not only is it a battle for P3, but it might turn into a battle for P2. Now all Schlein really has to do is just hold their position, and that's P3 right there for them if they don't get a penalty. I probably have spoke too soon, as they might get a penalty in the next couple of seconds. C Boogie getting another 3-second penalty, pushing their time to 6 seconds. Schlein now gaining onto Narpi. Battle for P3 here, getting dire. Everybody getting close to each other. Narpi going on the inside, trying to hit that inside corner, but not really doing much there. Schlein in a beautiful position here. Slight lag there from Narpi. Not too much to worry about. As Fierce is now already shrinking that gap between him and Adil. No! Now Schlein has a 3-second penalty. The entire grid, other than Flying Cow, by some... I don't know how, but now the entire grid is working up on the time penalty. Narpi getting close to Adil, but not managing to really do much here. And I do believe Flying Cow has been lapped. I won't show how many times they've been lapped, but I do believe they have been quite a few times already. As the fastest lap, C-Boogie holds it. As Narpi is getting close to Adil. It's C-Boogie! Now C-Boogie has crashed! Oh my lord! The drama is happening when I'm not looking, but now everyone here in the top, everyone here in the top 5 is now closer to the Saubers, as they can imagine. As Ducky is now going into the pits along with BNA, both going onto a new soft set of mediums. C-Boogie. Oh no, C-Boogie hasn't crashed. They just went for a pit. That's on me, guys. My bad. Oh, and Fierce hasn't crashed either. They just went for hard. So their gap is going to be very substantial to the rest of the grid. As Narpi goes on the inside, bumping Adil out of the way. As both of them are side by side. Ducky getting a penalty. Narpi shoved into the wall side by side with Schlein. There's a 4-way battle for P3. And Narpi, having his front wing ever so slightly damaged, will probably have to fix that next time he goes pit. But now Schlein is the main competitor here for P3. As now I do believe he commits to the inside. Oh, Lord! He enters the pits first. But now it is a matter for who is able to get out of the pits lap first. I do believe Narpi will have to fix his wing, as Curly has retired from the session. As Schlein barely makes it out before Adil. But Ducky now holding P3 in front of Schlein and Adil. Now Ducky has taken P4 away from Adil and holding the gap, getting ever so slightly closer to Schlein. So all drivers, I do believe, have made their pit stops other than Flying Cow. So this would be, I believe, the last pit stop the entire grid has to make. So now Ducky, with his 9 seconds of penalty, going on the inside, almost going on the inside of Schlein here, trying to get that gap. Trying to get P3 away from Schlein. The C-Boogie sets another fast lap on his fresh medium. Ducky now less than a second behind with the DRS. Goes on the inside of Schlein, taking that chicane with ease. As Faye, I'm switching back and forth, I do apologize, but Faye is now alongside with them. As Ducky now has a 30-second gap to C-Boogie, as both the kicks are fighting once again for the top spot. And I do believe Fierce will be getting that P1 spot no matter what. And by technicality, all Ducky needs to do now to hold that P3 spot is to have a solid spot here and get a 9-second gap to Schlein, which I do believe they are stating here, as C-Boogie gets another fastest lap here. Adil and Schlein getting really, really close together. Both of them on equal penalty levels. I do believe, yes, Adil will be getting the DRS here. Schlein holding the inside here, forcing Adil to go outside. Both drivers going side by side. Schlein pulling out in front of Adil. Ducky now widening that gap to P4. If Schlein gets more penalties here, that he will be probably seeing end of it. As Ducky gets a 3-second gap penalty, another one. Torch completely ending his dream of getting P3 this race. Well, although he is getting it spiritually. Wow. Oh my lord, as both the kicks are now side by side. Bailey getting another 3-second penalty here. I have no clue why it's lagging going down the main straight. I do apologize. But C-Boogie and Fierce very, very close together for this battle for P1. You can see Flying Cow again will probably be lapped. But it is not too much of a dilemma here, as I see the battle for P4 is growing. Flying Cow will not be in the way in this corner once again. As I'm saying as too much, I do apologize. The battle for P4 is looking tense, while the two kicks, Sauberg, are battling it out. Schlein and Adil and Narpi are all making their way through the chicane. BNA getting another 3-second penalty here. And Fierce now equals C-Boogie, getting a 3-second penalty here. So now the battle for P1 is anyone's game, as C-Boogie is gaining time on the chicane. C-Boogie gaining time through the chicane. Doing quite well here. And now that gap is growing once again. Oh, as the battle for, as we catch Narpi going on the inside. Oh, the Adil kind of shunting into them. And I do believe that's Flying Cow. No, that's Bailey right there, blocking off Narpi from getting to his teammate. Not his teammate, yeah, blocking off Narpi from getting to his teammate. Oh, but that's such a heartbreaker there. Narpi almost had P4 in spirit there. As you see the grid stabilizing itself, C-Boogie and Fierce still battling it out. Narpi still trying to gain that lead back and push to get P5 back, I do believe. Oh, and they crash! I do believe. And Ducky gets another 3-second penalty. Yeah, his hopes for P3 are absolutely down the trash. He will not be getting those anytime soon, as I do believe Bailey cut the corner, but cut the chicane massively over there, hindering Narpi a bit, as Narpi has no front wing. He's going to have to survive 4 more laps on this. Now, at that point, he doesn't care, which I don't blame him for not caring whatsoever. But the attention, Bailey trying to mess with Narpi, I do believe, to cut him off. I'm sorry, is Bailey on softs? Hold on. There's no way. Bailey has pitted for softs for the last couple of laps. And with 3 more laps to go, the battle, let's just focus on the battle for P1 at this point. Now, Fierce is on the older, harder tires, while C-Boogie's on the softer and fresher tires. Gap is getting closer, but there's not much you can do as Narpi retires. I do believe they have crashed, but that drops them down to P9 with 3 more laps to go of racing action. We're going to be focusing on the battle for P1 right here. Now, the penalties don't matter too much, as enter the last final laps. Ducky has gained 8 places since the start of this race. After not setting quality time, that's impressive by itself. BNA now gains also 6 seconds, 6 positions, sorry, for here. As both the back markers have pitted thrice, I do believe, for wing damage, and since they are at the back. Now the midfield is stabilizing, but we have the final 2 laps of the race. Actually, we have 1.5 laps more of 1.5 more laps of racing action here, as BNA is catching up, and Adil getting a 3-second time penalty. BNA getting closer to Adil, but with that 15-second time penalty, he's not going to be able to do much. Entering the chicane, this final chicane for the second last time. C-Boogie starting off with a 5/10 gap to his teammate Fierce. C-Boogie completely out of battery here. We're just going to be joining him for the onboard for the last lap. Between the 2 kicks, Fierce now getting a huge gap over here. C-Boogie sliding slightly. And if their team principal is allowing them to fight for position, definitely going to be interesting last race here. Last lap, for sure. Entering second last chicane. Both drivers a bit sketchy there, as I do believe C-Boogie is backing off and letting his teammate have the win. So with that, into the final straight and into the final chicane with 6 seconds of penalties, crossing the final chicane and crossing the line here at the Canadian GP. Fierce finishes in first, and C-Boogie finishes in second with a kick Sauber P1, P2. Now Ducky with a 30-second gap to the rest of the grid. This is going to be torment for him to hold off Schlein. I do believe he will be getting down to P5, maybe down to P6 at best. But as these drivers cross into the final moments of the chicane, Ducky crossing the line in third, Schlein following close behind him. I do apologize for the lag, as Adil is now crossing the line with BNA slightly behind him. BNA will not be getting this gap right here as we wait for Bailey, who was the last one to cross the line. Ducky finishing in fourth with a 10-second gap to Schlein. How unfortunate, as Bailey finally crosses the line. Wow, what a win for the Sauber team and Fierce. Both drivers here with a very, very interesting up and already to the regular race. I do apologize. Going back to the broadcast. Wow. And a podium for the Canadian in his home race. What an impressive drive from here. Both kicks getting a nice P1, P2 here. And the Canadian getting a P3 in his home race. Wow. What a race here. And as we finish here, wow. All these drivers have done so well here, with Schlein and the Williams finishing in P3. I would love to get maybe Fierce in here with an interview here, as well, I'm saying as too much. The kicks getting a P1, P2 spot here in the Canadian GP. Wow. What an amazing race from all these drivers. Wow. Now all the drivers are now leaving the lobby. Wow. What a race from the drivers here. And hopefully, if this does work here, give me one hot second. I do have Fierce here in the booth with me. Yeah, give me 1 second to get you on this booth right here, Fierce. Properties. Yes, like that. And now we have Fierce on the podium. Fierce, how do you feel about this podium you had here? If the stream manages to capture it. Like that. Now we have Fierce on the podium. Fierce, how do you feel about this podium you had here? If the stream manages to capture it. Yeah. I'm just going to summarize this for the stream viewers. Because the stream is not picking it up, unfortunately. Both drivers here at Kick are really glad for their P1, P2 spot. I hope I can get this Discord issue fixed by the time of the next race. I do apologize for everyone here. I'll have to check into that, but yeah, I'll just relay this. Both Kick drivers really happy for this P1, P2 spot, and yeah, we'll hopefully see some more racing action from you two. And yeah, good race from you two. And hopefully we'll see some good action from Formula 12 for the Bahrain GP, which is coming up tomorrow. So stay tuned. All right. Well, Fierce, I'm going to go let you go. You can go ahead and talk to your teammates. I do apologize your interview was not captured on stream, but I'll try and get this fixed. All right. All right. Well, now letting you go. And it is me, Mile, alone for this last portion of this GP. So, with that, thank you for joining me on this solo broadcast for the Canadian GP. I'm Mile, And this is Formula 11. Thank you for joining me.